GenRight Nation. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. It is Wednesday, March 6th. Wow, already into March. That's great, because out here in California, that means we're almost done with daylight savings time, so that makes us happy. If you're watching live, that's great because it gives you a chance to interact with me just by typing in a comment. So we welcome that. I love bouncing back and forth. I know that everybody watching also likes to see all the interaction too, so feel free to do that. Tech Talk is something that we've done for years now, live on Wednesdays for both Facebook and YouTube, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, every Wednesday. So turn on your notifications, subscribe, like, make sure you're getting those notifications when we go live so that you don't miss a thing. Of course, like I just mentioned, you can ask a question just by typing in a comment. Make sure you include as much information about your vehicle or what you're trying to do. That'll help me better answer your particular question, okay? Let's see. If you missed the last Tech Talk, you can go back on YouTube and rewatch those. So that's always a good place to go check it out. It's a little easier to find than on Facebook. Let's see, Jen, who we got watching so far?
Rick Harrington said, "What's up, GenRight crew? Hope everyone's having a great week. Happy hump day."
Nice, nice.
John Miller is watching. Steve Bird says, "I look forward to Tech Talk every week." Steve Waterman said, "This will be better than the State of the Union address."
Is that what I'm competing with? Is that what I'm competing with right now?
David Mork says, "Hello from Springfield, Oregon."
Nice.
Keith
nice.
Crum says, "Hello, GenRight family from Spencer, Indiana."
Cool. Well, I'll tell you what. If you've tuned in here tonight, this is going to be a good one. These are topics that everybody wants to talk about, and I know you're going to find it very, very informative. So we're going to give it a whirl here. Okay. Today's show, we're going to talk about suspension, axles, gas tanks, all kinds of stuff. Again, like I said, popular topics. Let's see what we got next. Featured product. The featured product, if you missed it last time, was these cool little mounts that I made to go on the tailgate. Since I showed you guys, we made these for the JL. Now we're making them for the JK and the TJ. So these are really cool. They go on the tailgate, and it holds our small cargo rack. So you can mount this right on the back. It's already on our website, so you can see it there. And these mounts, I think they're 99 bucks with the hardware, but a great way to transport some stuff. It holds about 70 pounds, which is the same as what a stock spare tire was. And when you're all done, can you see this? Mm-hmm. When you're done with the rack, you can just pack this whole thing and slide it somewhere very easily in your garage or storage container or whatever you have to store it away. So those are one of our newer items that I wanted to tell you guys about. Okay, next thing we've got is tech tip. Okay, so today's tech tip is going to come based from something that all of you probably saw on social media, which was the guy that got hit with his bubba rope. They were using a soft shackle to give him a yank in the snow. It went through the windshield and cut him. It was quite dramatic. And what you may not have seen was they just put the soft shackle around a hole in the bumper, and it ended up cutting the shackle when they pulled.
No deep
So not smart, not a good idea. It's just one of those things that, come on, man. And the guy even had a winch on the front. He could have used his winch. So just all around not good. So my tech tip is don't do that, all right? Soft shackles are great. They're very strong. I've used the heck out of them and never had one break when it's properly used. All right, what else we got? Questions via email. This Jennings, you're on. So I got several people now through my Tech Talk page on our website sending questions in that they'd like to be asked on Tech Talk. So Janice is going to read these off, and then I'm going to do my best to answer them.
Okay, Jeffrey Buttercrumbs asked the question last week on Tech Talk about anti-dive, anti-squat numbers a Tracer Jeep has, because he says, I'm building a stretched LJ with the GenRight 3-link front and 4-link rear brackets, and I think I have too much front anti-dive. Since the front 3-link bracket only has one position for the upper link without adjustability, I'm looking at 120% anti-dive, which the rest of the internet suggests is too much. Goal is to have something like a Tracer for all-around off-road duty. I can modify the front 3-link upper mount pretty easily, but I'd really appreciate your opinion on what anti-dive percentage I should shoot for. I'm running a Kingpin Ford Dana 60 with truss, 10 inches of link separation for 40-inch tires.
That's good.
113-inch wheelbase, 24.5-inch frame height from ground. In the rear with the 3-position 4-link brackets, I can have anti-squat at 75%, 85%, or 95%. You said you don't like too much, but I know from other Tech Talks you like the wheels to push down and dig when you get on the gas. Thanks in advance for the help and everything you do for the sport. I wouldn't have started this project if it weren't for all the Tech Talks as a resource. Jeff.
Oh, nice. Okay. So this is more complicated. And of course, as you look around on the internet, everybody's got an opinion on what this should be. I'm one of the people that I believe practices what I preach. And you'll find I've got one of our suspensions on all the different Jeeps that I own, and they all have their attributes. Now, in very simple terms, some of what you find available in a Jeep suspension is limited by the fact that we're also trying to put it under a body. And let's switch screens over here. So it's not that it's particularly hard to fit it when you're looking at the thing at, say, ride height, right? It's once you articulate it, as the links go up, they get into the bottom of the tub, or in the case of the front, you're limited by the engine, transmission, and other things in the front. So a lot of the time what we're doing is we're designing things to better maximize that. Now, suspension geometry, I'm going to switch screens, is more complex. This is a 4-link calculator that is easily obtainable off the TJ forum. And this bottom view is a much better view to show you. So out here, where all these points meet, is what's called your instant center. And drag racers use this to transfer weight onto the rear wheels so that they're getting the maximum amount of bite. For us, we're trying to find a certain amount of transfer, but also forward momentum. So this is a careful balance. Now, part of what I believe is, and can you rotate over to me? What I want to see is I want the suspension to push down both front and rear, okay? So, and that's going to be what's considered to be anti-squat, right? So when you give it the gas, I want that thing to push down. And the best way for you to tell this, forget the calculator, okay? Because that's a little more advanced. And by the way, they don't give you any parameters on what it should be. They just let you mess around with it. So if you have countless time to spin your wheels, then it's a great thing. But here's the easy way to tell. When you put it in low range first gear, and you step on the gas, does the vehicle raise or does the vehicle sink? Okay? So if it sinks, it's got squat, right? You're squatting down. If it raises, you have anti-squat. And I believe you want it to raise. You want it to push down. You want the wheels looking for traction or going through the holes, right? So as you go, you want the wheels to travel down So think of it the other way. If you have squat, what happens when you pull up on a climb? So the thing squats down and you feel like you're going over backwards. You absolutely don't want that. You actually want anti-squat to push down and propel you forward. So I don't know if this gentleman said that he had our Legend kit, or I know he kept comparing it to the Tracer. The Tracer is one that we used originally on Jordan's 4500 car, which is now Peter Doolin's, as many of you know. That one had a unique set of characteristics that it put the power to the ground and propelled it forward. So, there's a balance in that, right? And on the Tracer, nothing's adjustable. So you get what you get, and that's it. Where the Legend kit is more adjustable, and you get a chance to play with what that looks like, so you can kind of curtail it to what you want. On the JK Elite, I really like the anti-squat, and that's actually how I get Terremoto to go so fast through everything, because when you get on the gas hard, the wheels are going down into all the whoop-de-doos as you're traveling. And that also is just like a dirt bike. So on a dirt bike, when you land off a jump, you go to full throttle and it pulls the swing arm down. And that's exactly what you want happening in your vehicle. When you go to full throttle, you want that thing to soak up as much, whether it's a rut or coming off a jump or going through whoop-de-doos or just bouncing up an obstacle. You want the suspension to eat up as much of that instead of just collapsing and slamming and hitting bottom. So I know I'm trying to talk about this in very general terms so that everybody has the benefit of understanding. And hopefully that answers this gentleman's question. All right.
Hi, Patrick and Laura.
Hey,
hi, Ernie and Brandy.
good to see you last weekend.
Hi, Nana.
Moron. Excellent.
How many drivetrains will be broken with the new Mickey Thompson 42s? Terry Mode wants to know.
The only thing I did, and this was, I was trying an obstacle that you had to bounce up, and I had a full vehicle with tools and people and tools. And I don't know whether I did it there or not, but when I came back, I had a chipped ring gear. So I don't know. I had that in there for years, and just happened to be that I was changing my diff fluid and I had the cover off and I saw it. I didn't hear anything or anything. So, and I was running the 42s at the time. So I don't know.
Steve Bird said, great way to explain that. Thanks.
Good. All right, you got more questions. No. You have more printed questions.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. From Paul Kirk. Jeep JT Gladiator, 2021 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon Diesel, 2000 Super Duty Dana 60 front, 2011 Super Duty Sterling 10.5 rear, front metal cloak long arm, 4.5-inch metal cloak springs, rear metal cloak mid arm, suspension geometry. The question is, can I run a 3-link setup for the front axle on the passenger side?
Yeah, of course you can. Now, it's just like the other gentleman mentioned that I wasn't prepared for this question, but we make a bracket. Actually even better because I've got my laptop right here. Let's go over here. So just like I always tell you guys, we have a smart search box. So I just typed upper link mount, and that will show me, it says I've got 527 results. That's quite a bit. And I know if I scroll down here, I'm going to find the
Cameron
one that
Harris
I want.
says, hi, Tony.
Who said that?
Cameron.
Oh, nice. Mr. Cameron.
Matt McDonough wants to know what Terremoto weighs.
The last time I weighed it, I think it was 5,400 is what we were at.
Lots of people are saying Tech Talk is the greatest show on the internet. I agree.
Well,
guys,
we've got a lot of good information, and if you're even halfway paying attention, you're going to come away a lot smarter.
And you guys make it entertaining and
You
fun.
do. I love it. I look forward to every Wednesday.
Me too.
Let's see.
More fun live.
We're getting a lot of results here, so hang on. I could just go to, if I don't find it on this page, we're going somewhere else.
Why was the swing down tire carrier discontinued for TJ?
They weren't selling. It's my favorite. I ran it on, my Growler forever. And mostly I ran it because I can't lift a 42-inch tire and wheel by myself. So that's what it makes the most sense. You only have to lift half of it to put it up. Okay, so here's our upper control arm. We sell this in different lengths. We have a 6-inch and 8-inch. Many of you know, I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to show you. So this is it. And this is intended for the passenger side. Let me find, I think we've got some pictures open right now. Whoops, wrong button. Okay, so what's important, whether it's on the front or the back, is where the links mount on the axle. The upper and lower links have to, on center, where the bolt goes, has to be a certain number of inches. We shoot for 9 inches is what we really want, is that separation, front or rear. So let me see if I've got another picture here that's a better example. None of these are, okay. So I'm gonna go to another picture. Let's go back here. Let's go to JK. So if you've never been to any of our galleries, there is a ton of information in here about the different Jeeps. And we show you in detail all the different builds. I'm going to select this one here because this is one that we built a while ago on the factory 44 axles with our JK Elite suspension. And I don't think you have a good, sorry, I was hoping you had a good view of the tower on the other side. Okay, so on a,
Sorry.
What's that?
Cool comment.
What?
Continue.
Okay, we're gonna come back over here. Okay, so on the differential, normally we put it on the driver's side, it's right above the pumpkin. There's a little ear there. They make a Johnny joint that presses into that ear so you can run one upper link mount. The downside with this is the 7/16 inch bolt, 7/16 diameter bolt. Okay, I like a 9/16 or 14 millimeter. I like a big thick bolt in there, okay? So what a lot of people do is they put on that upper link mount that I was showing you just a second ago on the passenger side. And by doing that, that's a nice tower. It's 1/4 inch thick. It's gusseted. It gives you double shear. You can run the full size Johnny, which I don't have out here either, with a 9/16 bolt. So yeah, there's a lot of advantages to doing that. Now, when you do that, make sure that where they press the tube into the axle housing is welded, okay? Because I've seen that tube spin on the passenger side before, so you've got to keep an eye on that, all right? But yeah, excellent question. And you want your after 9 inches, that gentleman, I think he said had 10 inches, so that's perfect. And that tower that I just showed you guys that we offer is it's not very expensive either. Let's go back. $59. So, and that's, you can find that in our DIY section on our website. All right, what's that last question now?
Last question. Jeep JK. This is from Craig Tully. He says, what's important about the vehicle? It's a 2016 JK UR on 37s, 488 gears, 4.5-inch lift, metal cloak suspension and steering, 6-pack shocks, full skids, 1350 Adams drive shafts with Spicer U-joints and shafts, properly balanced, redneck hydro assist steering, Evo sliders, PS front bumper, Warn 10S, a bunch of trivial stuff. Okay, here's the question. What's an affordable way to improve axles? As in, they are all expensive to the average person. All the talk about 60s and full float, etc. is a lot of money for a weekend warrior. However, I want the strength and reliability to wheel hard and still drive home. Thank you. What's an affordable way to improve axles?
All right, so I'm going to answer this question in a couple different ways, okay? So one is, you could do the obvious. You could get a hold of RCV or Yukon and put chromoly or 300M shafts in, okay? That won't be cheap, by the way. And if you're not sure about the shafts, so you have a regular U-joint like this, similar to like what's in your drive shaft. This is in your axle, and you're going to convert over to one that looks like this. I took off the orange boots so you can kind of see that. And this is the company is RCV, but it's a CV joint style inside here. So there's many balls inside this that rotate and keep it under constant pressure. So these are 300M. They're very high quality, American made. We've raced with these for years, and they're very noticeable by these boots. And that's a great product. You'll get the outers and the inners. They have this little snap ring, and you just shove that inside here and it pops inside so that you get an assembly like this. Your factory ones aren't great. They're not going to last long. And typically, just like this one, the splines twist, and it does that right before it breaks. So when you get the higher quality one, they're going to be more durable. Now, that said, what I would do is I'd put some chromolys in the front, but I'd get myself something beefier for the rear. I'd get myself a 60 for the rear, or something else. I'm not a fan of the 14 bolt. A lot of people like that. The 9-inch is only rated for 37-inch tire, so that's not if you're going to spend the money, you might as well go bigger. I'd get into a 60. Anyways, the rear axle takes the bulk of the force when you're climbing and doing things under a lot of load. So if you just upgrade the rear and then do shafts or something in the front, that'll stretch that time out quite a bit. The other thing you got to be cognizant of is that you're not a throttle jockey. If you're running 37s and you spin those, even with upgraded shafts, you will break the axles or the ring and pinions. You're going to break something, okay? That's just, the amount of bite you have when a tire hooks up, it can exceed all the rest of the components in the driveline. So if you're just crawling, if you're being real easy on it, you're an automatic transmission, you could probably make it live for a couple years. But ultimately, no, if this is your thing, you really need to upgrade. If Jeeping is your thing, you've got to upgrade those axles and get into something beefier down the road. Okay? So that'll buy you a little bit of time. All right, so now we can answer general questions.
Okay.
That you're seeing on there, and then I'm going to talk about all kinds of other stuff.
Okay. Steve Bird asks, can you get death wobble with hydro assist?
So hydro assist is going to reduce that because it's got a lot more control on the front end. But here's the bottom line: death wobble comes from loose and worn out components. Okay, so the bottom line is if you have loose and worn out components, you want to know about that and you want to fix them. What's going to happen is if you put that off, it's going to screw up your tires, and then the tires will have that funny wear in them. And even if you freshen everything to brand new, you're still going to have the death wobble. You'll probably even have to move those to the rear, and then you may still even feel it in the rear. You really got to get after death wobble the moment you feel it. And don't just replace one thing at a time. You either need to replace it all, or it better be obvious what it is. But here's what I can tell you. If one thing is worn out, chances are it's all, right? Every ball joint, every tie rod end, every track bar, like I'm telling you, everything's probably toast. The average guy on 35s and bigger, you are way surpassing what all that stuff was originally intended for and to hold up for. And even if you've got an aftermarket lift kit, guys, they're all using the same factory mounts. So you're just over leveraging everything. And, you know, that's why these gentlemen that wrote in, you know, they're telling me about all this heavy duty stuff, but they still have a bolt-on lift kit. That's going to be their weak link. So there you go.
Okay, Tijuana Jeep Club said, I'm looking to get the Elite JK. I was wondering if I can put it on my existing Dynatrac Pro Rock 44s.
Okay, perfect segue into my suspension. All right, let's come over here. And this is exactly what I intended to show you guys tonight. So I mentioned to all of you a few weeks back that we were working on what we're calling JK Elite Stage 1. So this entire thing is designed around the factory 44s or aftermarket 44s that are still on coil springs and standard shocks. So what we do is you're going to get 2 new cross members, a flat belly, you're going to move the gas tank to the back, and you're going to get brand new control arms and a new steering. So I'm gonna walk you through what this looks like. So you're going to upgrade the knuckles to a higher steer. You can see how high up that tie rod is. By the way, if you look at your factory steering, the tie rod is this far below the axle. So that is not acceptable. And if you find that acceptable, then you're watching the wrong show, because that is not acceptable. It needs to be way up here at the top of your axle tube. In addition to that, look at how flat the track bar and the drag link are. You know what that means? You get no bump steer. Okay, this is what everybody should be aiming for. And I can tell you that there is not another single company out there producing an aftermarket suspension that is doing this. They all just angle that tire, the drag link down to the knuckle, and you know, it's not a good thing. You want that stuff as flat as possible. This is what it looks like on every one of my Jeeps. And this is how you get good performance. Okay, so the steering is part of the kit, and we use all the FK Heims. These are the same ones that we've raced on and that I run for years and years and years. And the steering is chromoly. Here you can see that in the rear you're getting a double triangulated 4-link, a completely flat belly, and a 3-link front. So this is non-binding. These are all genuine Johnny joints. They're lubable, rebuildable, and this is going to be a fantastic suspension for you. Now, you don't get all the advantages of our full Elite by using the 44s, but this is probably enough for most people. And by the way, by doing this flat belly, you're lifting the bottom of your Jeep right in the middle of your Jeep 3 inches up. So it's like putting on a 6-inch bigger tire. That's the breakover you're increasing by 3 inches on your vehicle. And as you know, with 44s, you're not putting on a 6-inch bigger tire. So this is a huge advantage. So we're going through all the engineering right now to dial this in, and this kit will be available actually we're going to start putting this on one of our Jeeps here probably later this week. Here's a closer look at the rear end. We're actually building a nice truss or bridge for the rear axle that puts the upper links in the right position. And again, you still retain your factory coil springs, the bump stops, and the factory shocks. Okay, and you'll be able to run up to our 25-gallon gas tank with this setup. Here's another look at the bottom. So you can see that double triangulated rear with the coil springs, the front with the coil springs, all the new stuff. It's really quite slick.
Matt McDonough said I have a Pro Rock 44 and Pro Rock 60 in the front and Pro Rock 60 high pinion semi-float rear. I'm very curious about the staged kit. Would that cause any issues?
No, that's perfectly fine.
Axle?
Yeah, that setup will go right on this. So here's the good news for you, is those axles have all the brackets in the factory locations, right? So they might be a little bit heavier duty, but they're all in the factory locations because that's considered a bolt-in. So this kit would work quite well for you. So yeah, because you're going to have this style, and we're making everything fit this style right there. Now, this is called stage 1, right? We're going to have a stage 2 where you cut all these stupid factory brackets off and put them on your axles, and then you'll actually get more benefit to the kit, okay? But we're trying to make stage 1 as easy as possible for people to get into and realize the benefits of this flat belly skid, because it's gonna blow your mind, okay? And then here's a detailed shot of the front with the brand new track bar that matches the steering perfectly out of the steering box, keeping everything flat like I was just talking about, and all high steer, all lifted up, all chromoly. I mean, this is the way stuff should be, right? This is, and I'm telling you, it's not. So, and this will be good for up to a 4-inch lift kit, so you can do anywhere from a 2 to whatever you currently have for a lift, 2 to 4 inch, and it'll fit right in there. Okay.
Okay, Wade Myers asked, can I do a double triangulated 4-link rear with the eTorque 2.0 on a 2018 JLU?
Yeah.
He's concerned about the 48-volt battery under the back seat.
Oh,
maybe in the way of the control arms.
It might be. It might be.
He says, I'm going to be doing a 14-bolt rear axle swap this fall and would like to be able to do this if possible.
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely, I know there's some 3-link kits available for the rear. You do not want that. You want to get rid of that rear track bar, okay? Because the rear track bar is steering, it's got steering the wrong way, right? So when you do the 4-link, it steers the rear end onto the obstacle, and when you do the 3-link, it steers it off. So yeah, you definitely want to get rid of that track bar. So couple options for you. I mean, you're obviously past the warranty. I'd consider moving the battery. I'd consider a bunch of things. So yeah, you're going to need to think that through. Okay.
Okay. Jerome asked if you got an update on the apparel. Did you get a chance to check on the possibility of zipper hoodies and long sleeve race team shirts?
I have not checked on either of those, but Jennings, maybe you can help me remember after the show to check that out.
Okay.
Okay.
You survived TDS.
I survived TDS. We almost put it on the lid on our first obstacle.
Yeah, we did. We have, let's see, a couple more. Is the Curry 4460 high pinion combo a smart choice for a full axle swap on an LJ on 37s?
It is. So here's the deal. When you do a 44 in the front, like if you're spending the money to get a 44 for the front, you're probably within $1,000, $1,500 of a 60 for the front. I'd spend the money. I wouldn't even think twice. It's so worth it. In fact, I pulled out this ring gear just to give you an example. So this is the ring gear inside a 60. The 44 almost fits inside this. That's how much bigger the ring gear is. So I need you to get your head around that. And then this is the pinion for this. And think about on yours, the pinion's even smaller. So, that's not a lot going on to keep the whole thing together. So, you need to understand the componentry inside there and how small it is for what you're doing. A 37-inch tire aired down has quite a bit of bite. So, Just keep that in mind, depending on what you're doing.
Karina asked, why no on the 14 bolt, even with the shave kit?
So the 14 bolt, I know everybody else says something different, and the reason they say this is because they're cheap, okay? They're a dime a dozen in the junkyards, and a lot of guys like them because even if they blow it up, they just go get another one. Well, if you're not the one doing the work on it yourself, then you're paying somebody else to do it, okay? So the 14 bolt is also a low pinion, okay? Well, if you must not have ever watched one of these tech talks, because I do not like low pinion axles, right? They have to be high pinion. The low pinion gets the drive shaft and the yoke into everything. I'll give you an idea. Where we wheel, the low pinion won't even make it one day. That thing will be so beat and bashed that the drive shaft will fall off. And everybody says, oh, no problem, I'll put a pinion guard on there. Well, that means it's another ½ inch lower than it was. That just means you're getting hung up on everything. Well, I don't know about you, but breaking my vehicle and working on it in the middle of nowhere is not my idea of fun. I'd rather put in the right stuff and be down the road. The next thing is, I just showed you this ring gear. A ring gear for a Dana 60 or a Dana 70 and anything Dana Spicer is made of the highest quality chromoly steel, right? It's a very specialized steel. The ring gear in a 14 bolt is like pot metal out of Korea. It's a garbage setup made inexpensively for pickup trucks, where you're not listening to the drone of the rear axle in your pickup truck because everything else is loud and noisy. So it's just a whole nother level of quality and performance. So now look, if you're going to run a 54-inch tire, who cares, right? You're going to be bopping over everything. But if you're running a 40, that low pinion, you're going to be into everything. So even if it's shaved, that's only dealing with the housing. And you're going to spend a fortune to get that done right as well. So,
Mike Stewart asks, 2017 Rubicon factory width Curry axles, would you run 13.5 or 12.5 37-inch tires, and why?
Well, if I had the choice, I'd run the 1250. That's just, that more narrow profile is going to keep it alive longer, right? The wider you go, the more you're pushing on the ball joints, the more bite you have. And typically what people are after is ground clearance, right? They're going to a bigger tire for more ground clearance. They don't need more bite. So, a 35 is going to be a 1250. If you go to a 37 1250, you're probably going to be quite happy. Yep. Even the 40s I'm running are 1350s, and the 42s I'm running are 1350s. So just to give you an idea.
And Joey Lentz asked, I would like to go to 37s on my 2016 JKU. What gear ratio would be best for a semi-daily driver?
Is it a stick or an auto? I can't remember what his is. Maybe he can pipe in on that. But here's the deal. It's going to be either a 488 or a 513. Okay, now the downside is, remember, the higher ratio you go, the smaller this pinion's getting. Okay, because they can't push this stuff apart any further to make it bigger. So you're taking an axle that had a 373 or a 411 in there, and now you're reducing the size of the pinion to get a whole nother rotation out of this thing. So you're just moving the weak link. Look, if the weak link is here, it's pretty easy to fix. If the weak link is here, this is a big job, right? And when something breaks, you're putting the shock load through all the components, and they just don't like that. That typically fatigues everything.
Steve Bird asked, so would this Stage 1 kit work with my Pro Rock 60s other than the knuckles?
Yeah. And typically, if you've got an aftermarket axle, it probably already has a version of a high steer knuckle on it. So You'd have to send me a picture, Steve, so I can refresh my memory of what the knuckle looks like on yours, but it's probably very similar to that.
Tom Nagley would request a GenRight suspension for the JL besides the EXS. Let's see. And Anthony asked if we left TDS early because of the wind and just sand.
We did not leave early. If anything, we left kind of late. So,
Because of the wind and sand?
Yeah, no, we did not leave early. And
But our vendor...
It was funny because Jennings told me she went to look for something on the outside of the motorhome, and it was full of sand just from being pushed into the to every little thing, even in the windows. Like, we just had dirt and sand everywhere.
Is that stage 1 kit just for the JK?
Right now, that is just for the JK. Yeah.
And will the kit include all the brackets?
So, okay, so let's go back over here. So this kit, let me see if one of these pictures is better than the other. Okay, so let's start here. So we've designed it around all of the factory brackets. So the factory, upper and lower control arm mounts on the axle side is all factory. Now, everything on the frame side is gone, right? Because we're giving you 2 brand new cross members with all new mounts. Okay, this is called stage 1. We're going to have stage 2, which will cut off all those brackets and correct a bunch of stuff, including stretching the wheelbase 1 inch forward, 1 inch back, maybe even 2 inches forward. It's going to be something there. So that'll be stage 2. Stage 3 is going to be where you get brand new axles and new brackets, okay? Stage 4 is the whole kit. That's where you're getting coilovers, you're getting the whole 9 yards and bigger axles. So stage 4 would be as we sell it today, okay? So, but there will be, as long as you know in this configuration for stage 1 and stage 2, the maximum tire size you can go is 37, okay? Because of the axles. So the moment you say, no, I want to go to 40s, then you've just bit off the big chunk, right? You're buying bigger axles. You'd at least be into a stage 3. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, once you say you're going big tires, you're definitely, it's a commitment. But so what? I mean, if your thing is
other toys.
If your thing is Jeeping, that's right. Get rid of your stupid boat and all the other crap that you got clogging up your garage or your side yard, and pour it into the one thing that you really want to do. Because keep in mind, at least your Jeep you can drive year round. You can, it's not like a boat or a sand car or something that's very seasonal. This is all the time and street legal.
I just sold my JL so I could build an Elite on my JK.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Okay.
Excited.
Keep going.
Okay.
So we talked about suspension. On the next, I had axles, which we've also kind of talked about, and then gas tanks. Okay. So are we caught up on questions?
Oh no.
Because I got a whole slew of stuff to show you on gas tanks.
Okay. What about total weight? Using your checklist, I feel like I'll be heavy. What's too heavy? Tools and equipment checklist.
Oh, okay. So are they saying they checked my list and they're saying they're too heavy now that they put in all the stuff I said to put in?
Well, it says using your checklist, I feel like I will be too heavy. What is too heavy?
Okay. Well, it depends on what you're doing, right? So if you're on a wheeling in an off-road park where you're a few miles from where you parked your truck and trailer, then you can leave a lot of it there, and Buddy can run you back and forth to get whatever you need. You'll need a small bag of the normal stuff and maybe something to change a tire, in case you rip one. But you don't need a ton of stuff, okay? Where you would carry a lot of stuff, like I have on that list, is if you're going somewhere far away. If you're going to be a long way away where you have to repair that vehicle yourself, then you've got to have everything plus some that's on that list for sure. Here's what I'll tell you. I think in my JL, fully packed, like for one of my overland trips with us in the vehicle, I'll bet we're every bit of 7,000 pounds.
Yep. RJ Roundy, can you explain the pros and cons of mounting the coilover tube either in front of the axle tube versus behind the axle tube?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of different reasons. Let me see. What did I just do with this thing that I have? Okay. So here's one where it's up on top of the axle tube. Okay. So in this case, this is a JK Elite that we're looking at right here, or in this case, it's an EXS. Same. Okay. The suspension, geometry, everything is the same. So in this case, what we did was the shock needed to be located inside the vehicle, just behind the back seat. And we couldn't go any further back because of other limitations in the vehicle, including sway bar, other placement of other items. So that's what I call packaging. If you ever hear me say, oh, it's all about how we package it, there's a lot of things to consider, right? My preference is to take the shock and move it down and lower and keep everything lower and move it further back, because that makes the vehicle think that it's longer than it is. So here's the thing. On a CJ, YJ, TJ, maybe even sometimes an LJ, that was important because we were trying to get it to, even if it was 100, to think it was 102, or if it was 105, 107. Well, on a JK or a JL, they're already 118. So we're not worried about trying to get them longer and longer. So those are all some of the factors involved with choosing what's better. Yep.
Will
Great
the
question.
Stage 1 kit work with Evo bolt-on coilovers?
I don't know. So here's the thing. When any of you ask me about will our stuff work with somebody else's, the answer is almost always, I have no idea. I don't like those companies. I don't like the product they produce. I don't like anything about them. So I would never, ever, ever recommend it, nor would I ever even want to try it. So you're already going down the wrong path, if you ask me. But that you can try it.
Matt McDonough asks, do you have authorized or recommended installers for the Stages and full Elite kits?
We will, yeah, especially depending on where you live. We've got them all over the country, for sure.
Cool. Tom Drake said, I want to give a shout out for the Ruby Crawler for the 42 RLE trans from Advanced Adapters. Good match to go along with the Stage 1 system.
Yep. Yeah. So normally most people would jump to the regular Atlas, okay, which would give you front or rear, so that you could do a front dig, but that is not recommended with a 44 front axle. So you've got to go to a 60 in order to do that.
Okay, Tank Hetcher says, I have your radio panel for a TJ. How do I keep the switch blanks from falling out all the time? They fit loose.
You can, next time you have the little blank out, you can bend the tabs a little bit and it'll fit in there tighter.
Okay, Terry asked thoughts on full Elite, but on Dana Ultimate 60s.
Yeah, same. It's gonna have the factory bracket location, so it'll work.
Okay. There's more. Stage 1 JKU only 2-door?
Haven't even gotten there yet.
Okay.
So the good news for everybody is I need you to wrap your head around there's 6.7 million JKs. Okay? So that's what we're building this kit for. 15% of those were 2-door. Okay? So there's going to have to be a lot of 2-door guys come out of the weeds for me to spend a lot of effort and make this fit on a 2-door. So right now it's all about the 4-door.
Do you need the gas tank for Stage 1?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
You have to move the gas tank to the back.
All right, will a JKU with an Elite kit fit in an enclosed trailer?
Yes.
Yes, we do it all the time.
And by the way, that's why nobody else makes a double triangulated 4-link rear suspension for the JK, is because they don't have a gas tank they can move. Or what they do is they put one up inside. Absolutely no way. You don't want to do that. That is not cool.
Back to my question. Dana Ultimate 60, but with full elite welding on your brackets to the axle.
Say that again, Dana.
Ultimate 60 for the full elite kit.
Okay.
Welding on your brackets to the axle.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, if you want the full kit, yes, that comes with all new brackets, and they're twice as thick as the factory ones. So yeah.
Matt McDonough said, I have a Dakota Custom 6.4 and 8-speed trans. Will that be an issue for the flat belly?
It might. You'd have to try it. You know, you're. This is part of. Let me find a good way to describe this. This is like having a house. Okay, you bought a house and now you've added on a room addition, and then you want to know, well, you know, now that I did this, how do I, you know, change something else? Everything you do on your Jeep is going to affect something else. Okay, when we design this stuff, we carefully tell you in the notes section on our website what it fits, okay? So we've designed it around the stock engine and transmission. We've also designed it around an LS3 with a 4L80, okay? Which is, you know, a very, very popular drivetrain. The reason that I don't design it around the Hemi is because many of the front components are cast into, so I can't move the accessories, which limits that upper control arm on the differential, the travel of that. And where they put the oil filter, you can't get easily a remote oil filter like you can on an LS. So there's a lot of things about that. The engine's also wider, so that makes running the exhaust tougher. There's just and the Hemi's heavier. It's another 150 pounds heavier. So there's a lot of things that we've already figured out that we're trying to steer people in the right. If this is your thing, if your goal is to build yourself a really good Jeep, and basically a GenRight Jeep, do it right the first time, then we're trying to guide everybody the best we can, for sure.
Steve Bird asked, how many times will Tammy have to sweep the GenRight shop to work off this stage 1 kit?
Poor Tammy.
Jim Dexter says, he has an 05 TJ. I have your notched gas tank going to 14 bolt. How much can I stretch the rear leaving tank under the TJ?
Under the TJ. So a lot of that depends. First off, we offer 4 different tanks for the TJ. So I don't know which one you have. Even if you got the one that you could do a 7-inch stretch, it's going to depend largely on who put on the upper control arm mount and is it in the right position. Because if it's not, or it's some overbuilt, you know, truss thing, that's going to limit how far you can slide it back. So you really have got to get our tank, match it with your thing, your whatever you've got for an axle and bridge, and figure out, you know, how much you can push it back. So there's no one answer.
So will the gas tank on the stage 1 kit fit on the rear, or do I need to remove anything?
Well, the exhaust, yeah, that big old giant nasty muffler, yeah. Yeah, the entire exhaust is going to need to be reworked, for sure. But you'll be able to have a 25-gallon gas tank.
Ari says that guy at KOH put the tie rod of his 200K Evo build through his 90K Demon motor.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, these companies don't check this stuff, I'm telling you.
Anthony says, I keep seeing your gas tank for a 03 to 06 in scratch and dent. What would it take to fit a 02 TJ?
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So this right here, see this opening? Mm-hmm. That is the opening for a 97 to 02, okay? And it takes what looks like this. So you put this little gasket inside here, and then you drop your fuel pump in and you thread on this plastic ring, okay? This over here, this is a different style tank, but it has this kind of mount, okay? So this is the mount for 03, 04, 05, 06. This one takes an O-ring that you set in there, and then we give you a machined piece that threads on here and tightens down your fuel pump. So both have fuel pumps that look almost identical to this, but they're different diameters, okay? So you can buy that. No, you're gonna need to go get the newer fuel pump module to put in it, okay? So good question, but yes, that's what's gonna happen.
We need to see Tracer LJ in stages. Can you make that happen?
Guys, I don't even have that much life in me.
He won't even get to sleep anymore.
Actually, did I? Oh, we were on gas tanks. Okay, so let's talk gas tanks for a second. So first off, I want to tell you guys about what separates our gas tanks from anybody else's, okay? First off, we've been making these for 20 years, okay? Maybe you don't care about that. Well, we give you more clearance, whether it's more ground clearance, more axle clearance, whatever that looks like. We also give you more capacity. So this particular one is a 25-gallon TJ tank, so it fits in the exact same location, but with more gallons. The quality of the gas tank, we make them all out of 1/8-inch aluminum. Every single one is hand TIG welded. All of the fittings are CNC machined, including this one that I was just showing you, that's welded onto the tank that holds your fuel pump. And we use 2 of the factory Mopar vent valves. So these are built so that the moment they see fuel, they shut off. So as you're going down the trail, there's one of these on each side of the tank, and they're allowing air in and out of the tank. Typically, these are piped over to your evap canister or charcoal canister. And the tanks come with everything, right? These are put into a foam-lined skid plate, whether it's aluminum or steel, to help protect it. They're strapped in with a nice stainless steel strap. You've got the vents, all the tubing, everything you need to complete the install. So we really go the extra mile. And of course, they're all American made. So you're getting that quality. And like I mentioned earlier, for the TJ, so actually it depends. CJ, we offer 2 different models. YJ, I think it's 3 different models. TJ's like 5 different models. We also have, down here is one for the JL. Let me swap this out. So here's one for the JL that you can see. And by the way, we've got all of these figured out how they rehook to the factory evap system so you don't get any check engine codes. They take the factory fuel pump module, they fill through the factory filler, and you can set the pump and walk away. All of these are very well designed and well thought out, or we wouldn't be making them anymore, quite frankly. Again, this one's for a JL. So we sell one that fits in a JL that holds 26 gallons in the factory frame, and then we sell one 30 gallons that fits in our EXS frame. So that's the JL one. This one here is a universal style tank, like I said, that goes in the back. But the difference with this one is we make a nice metal cover that goes over this. So that way, if you're putting tools or things in the back of your Jeep, or even if they come loose and are bouncing around, they're not going to hit the top of your fuel pump module. So that's and this is where the gas cap is. So there's a little dam around it that if you do overfill your tank or something, it's not going to run all over the inside of your vehicle. This one down here, I'll show you this one, is the JK tank. This one is quite sophisticated because it has all kinds of facets. We call this the waterfall facet. This is specifically here to clear the rear sway bar on a JK. And again, It's got 2 of the vent valves in here, the fuel pump module, the fillers, everything on it all reattaches to the factory system.
Stacy Swanigan asked, do the 2 vent valves keep it from burping out fuel every time you fill up? My
Yes.
05 TJ normally loses a few ounces every time I fill when it hits the full cutoff.
Yeah, okay, so there's a couple things. People commonly, we send a whole series of hoses and tees and everything with these. What they typically do is they think they're going to be smart because they've gutted everything and they're like, I don't need it to be street legal, and they hook the 2 of these together. Well, let me tell you, as the temperature changes, as altitude changes, you're not allowing any air in or out of this thing. So what you're going to see is it's going to start leaking around the fuel pump. It's going to leak around your fillers. It might even blow out the gas cap. These have to be vented to a charcoal canister or at least through a filter. You cannot seal these things off, okay? And typically what happens is when somebody calls in and says, hey, my gas tank won't fill up right at the pump, it takes fuel slow, it's because these vents aren't working. Something, either when they put it up, it smashed one of the lines. Like the venting on your tank is very, very important, very.
What makes a fuel tank smog legal?
So that it rehooks to all the evap system. That's what you got to have.
Okay. And okay, Bradley Jackson says, what can I do to convert my YJ to an LJ? Moto-built kit is not an option because I want to keep my GenRight crawler tank versus a fuel cell. Can I also get new GenRight corners and cage for the conversion?
Yeah, so we already sell our TJ to LJ kit. The frame is exactly the same for a YJ. Then you get the LJ corners. You can get the filler piece for the body. You can buy the back half of the cage. So if you have our GenRight cage for your YJ already, you buy the back part that converts it into an LJ, and you're going. You keep your GenRight gas tank. We have the whole cargo area already done for the YJs. You just need to call in. Like, you can buy all that stuff today.
Okay, Chase Purrier. Hi, buddy. What's the start to finish time on a JL EXS kit installed at your shop? And does it come with a wheel trip when it's finished?
Yes. In fact, that's a great question. Because a lot of customers that when we do deliver those, I go wheeling with them to kind of get them used to it. So almost always it includes a wheeling trip. Right now, once you drop off your Jeep, depends on everything you want done, right? So if it's just the EXS, that's quick. That's like 3 or 4 weeks. But if you go, no, well, Sarah, I want fenders and I want a cage and I want corners. Now you're talking body work and a cage. If you do the cage, then you want the B-pillar chop, and that's got to go to the paint shop, and that can turn into a lot of time because every step, just saying, oh, now I got to powder coat the cage, that's 2 weeks minimum. It almost always turns into 4. Okay, by the time it goes there, comes back, gets refitted. And the paint shop is 2 weeks minimum once we're done with our portion of the work. And then ultimately everything's got to come back and then get reinstalled. So, once a cage comes back, then we got to put back in the whole interior. So there's a ton of work there. So the short answer is, if you just want the EXS, it can be pretty quick. It can be 3 or 4 weeks. Yep.
Are the OEM connectors the same on the late model TJ?
Yes.
Okay. Jamie Condi says that viewer discretion advised for all that weld porn. Those tanks are art.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, every single one of these tanks is pressure tested for 24 hours. So we make sure that they do not leak, for sure.
Jordan Hinton asked, do you have any examples of the exhaust routing for a TJ with a 23-gallon comp tank? I'm hoping to be able to route it out of the back and not dump it under the Jeep.
Yeah, so if you're running a coilover, that's a much easier solution, because what's going to happen is you're going to come up under the frame and you just run the tailpipe down along the frame, and then it can dump out in the back. But it will run directly under the frame instead of next to the frame on either side, which is what stock does.
Scott Williams asks, how much of the tank sticks up in the cargo area of the Jeep?
None. All of our tanks stay under the floor.
Cool.
All of them.
Jeff Holland, for a JK with the 3.6, installing the 4-link, do you move the evap from the stock location?
No, the evap stays in the stock location. So, and by the way, the evap system, the evap canister, can be moved within a 3-foot radius of the gas tank. So a lot of the time what happens is the TJ guys say, well, I'm stretching it so much that I can't keep it in the back corner anymore. You can move it in a 3-foot radius. Anywhere you can put that thing. Typically you want it opposite side of wherever the exhaust is, okay? So, because it does have gas fumes, and if you get a backfire, you don't want it to be like right in that.
What is the gas tank if you still have a Dana 44?
What is the gas? Well, stock is 19 gallons. Yeah. Okay, I have one more tank I want to show everybody. And it was the only one I could find right now, tonight in the other room, because we make the gas tanks right here on the other side of the wall. So this is the configuration for the YJ fuel pump module. And whether you buy a CJ tank or a YJ tank, we convert it to this bolt pattern. And these are one-sided aluminum, or what we call blind, aluminum bungs that are welded in, so that when you screw in the unit, there's no fuel or anything that can leak out of here. There's a little gasket that goes on, and then you put this in. You just feed this down inside the tank. And you can run, I recommend that you do the in-tank style, because you're always going to get better performance. And most people have converted over to fuel injection anyways. So this is a huge upgrade for any CJ guy, and certainly on the YJ works perfect. By the way, all of these factory fuel pump modules are good for V8 engines up to 600 horsepower. So there's no reason to mess with this.
George Kane says, be sure to tell people to get the access door for the fuel pump.
Yes,
learn that the hard way.
That's right. So we sell a really cool fuel pump access panel that you cut into the cargo area. It's 3/16 steel, very, very heavy duty. When you put this in, you will not see any sagging or bending of the floor. It's very, very sturdy, and it will give you full access to remove these pumps in their entirety while the tank is still in the vehicle. So, and I think they're $149 or $159. They're very inexpensive.
Did you say when the stage 1 kit will be available?
We're putting the first one in. We're starting to put it in later this week. So as soon as we test fit it all and prove it out, it'll be available.
Okay, here's some love for you, Tony.
Sure.
Another killer show. So much good info. Just need a financial planning show to follow.
The financial plan is garage sale, yard sale. Get rid of all that. By the way, I don't know.
Sell your junk.
I don't know how many of you follow me on Facebook, me personally, but I started clearing out a lot of my stuff. In one weekend, I cleared out $8,000 worth of old Jeep parts. So don't undersell yourself there. And for all of you,
what are you gonna buy?
That asked questions about the 44s, your factory axles, keep in mind, you can sell, as long as they're not broken, you can sell those factory Rubicon 44s for $4,000, like all day long. And if you've got them upgraded with better lockers and stuff, $5,000 all day long. That's $5,000 you can put toward your 60s. So just don't forget about that. Everybody, they're just thinking, oh, I got to come out of pocket. No, sell all that old stuff off.
Such a great show. Aqua Jeep Girl, thanks so much, you guys. I always learn so much. Steve Bird, another great show, Tony. Thank you for doing this every week.
You're welcome.
Mom says, I love seeing how many people appreciate your advice and love your products. Smart people. Scott Williams, I'm wanting to get the aux tank. This LS3 needs more gas.
Yeah, for sure. Right. What Scott's talking about is a second tank. So he's got two. You keep the stock one and have a rear mounted one, so then you can get double the capacity.
Oh, round matrix light? When is it happening?
Matrix lights? These?
Round ones? Round?
No, these are they're like kind of square rectangle.
Are they going to make round ones?
No. No, there's already round ones available from other manufacturers. So, no, we came out with this style and shape, and that's the what we're going with.
It's hip to be square.
Hip to be square.
Great show, Team Tony.
All right, well, we've burned past our hour with everybody. I want to thank everybody for watching as always. I didn't get to any events and stuff, but I'll talk about that more next week. But make sure you check the events on our website and join us at upcoming Sand Hollow, Jeep Beach, or Jeep Jam. Till next week.